and our panelists. Today's webinar is titled Disrupting Recertification and Moving Beyond the Checkbox. My name is Lori DeVerne, and I am a CNG virtual committee member. First, we'll hear from today's sponsors, and then we'll go over a few housekeeping rules. And then I'll turn it over to my fellow CNG virtual committee member, Aaron White, who will introduce our panelists for today. I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to all of our sponsors. Their support allows us to offer these sessions at no cost and continue sharing innovation best practices across the credentialing community. Now, I'd like to introduce our sponsors for today, representing Accredible. Please join me in welcoming Laura Scruggs.
Laura, I think, is just being admitted now. Okay. So
Laura, if you're ready to share a few words from Accredible, the floor is yours.
Laura, is Laura on?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Are you ready to talk a little bit about your company?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Laura Scruggs, and I have the pleasure of joining you all today from Accredible. And I'll just give a quick overview of the organization, the platform, and then I want to leave you all with some resources that will hopefully build upon the discussion that we're about to have today. Thank you to our friends at CNG for inviting us and who dedicated your time to organizing today's event. This is a topic we talk about almost every day with our product team, but also with our customers. And that's why we are extra thrilled to see Shannon and Heather from BOC on the agenda as our speakers. Sounds like you all are doing really exciting things on the platform, and we're excited to hear your perspectives on continuing it today. For those of you who are hearing our name for the first time today, we're very proud to be the world's leading digital credential platform. We've been around since 2013, and in that time, we've helped over 2,300 organizations issue and verify almost 180 million career advancing digital badges and certificates. And this will be our last About Us slide before we highlight a couple of those resources that I mentioned that I think will be especially relevant for you all since you're here to learn about recertification. But it is one of the questions we get asked about most often with folks familiar with digital credential solutions like ours. What makes Accredible different from the rest? First, we're a white labeled solution, which means your credentials, your credential landing pages, down to the URL, your emails, your directories all feel like an extension of your brand, not Accredible's. Secondly, your learners do not have to create an Accredible account to view, engage with, and then share their credentials on platforms like LinkedIn, which is why we see share rates really skyrocket when credential programs start working with Accredible. Next, you can use the platform to do so much more than issue and manage your certifications. You can also set up learning pathways, email and SMS campaigns, certified learner directories, and program analytics, all from within the platform. Fourth, unlike other providers, Accredible keeps learner data private. We don't monetize it ourselves. We don't use it as a way to sell unrelated services to your community. And lastly, and importantly, we invest a tremendous amount in our customers' success. And in fact, more than half of our staff, including Shanann here today from the Accredible team, sits in customer success. That includes everything from technical onboarding to one-on-one strategy sessions to our biweekly group trainings on best practices and so much more. So without any further ado, these are the lightning round of resources, the links to which will be both in the chat and on the screen. The first is our State of Credentialing report. This past year, we surveyed hundreds of HR leaders and credential issuers and uncovered a pretty stark gap between employer demand for digital credentials and the hiring process which is surprisingly high, and the visibility of those credentials when the candidate is going in for an interview. And it gives you a roadmap for creating those trusted credentials that actually get seen and used. And if you're familiar with the State of Credentialing report, or if you find it valuable after checking it out today, we want to invite you to participate in crafting our 2026 report, which will be released earlier this fall. For those of you who are still in the planning stages or are working on scaling your credential platform, I can't recommend this 8-step guide enough. This essentially takes you through everything from getting internal buy-in with your internal stakeholders all the way to the actual design elements that form the governance of your scalable program. And if you've ever been asked to defend your program internally, I know it's a big part of my job. This guide will be your secret weapon in 2026. It takes you through the exact data points in the data sources you need to tell a story that matters to leadership and includes some real world examples of how other programs, some of whom are here today, are doing that. Part of that analysis should include measurement of your learners' outcomes after they finish a part or all of your program. And this is a template survey that you can literally copy and paste and use tomorrow to start understanding how your learners are using their credentials to advance in their careers. Coming to the end here, this is a brand new assessment tool that gives rave reviews from our customers. Takes 5 minutes to complete, after which time you'll receive a scored report and prioritized recommendations to optimize your credential program performance. And last but not least, if any of these topics sound relevant and interesting to you, we cover them monthly in our newsletter, Certified Insights. We encourage you to sign up today and join in the conversation. Thanks so much again.
Thank you, Laura, for that insightful information there and your sponsorship as well. Moving on to our second sponsor for today, from joining us from ACMC, please welcome Amanda Crowley.
Thank you, Lori.
You're very
Let
welcome.
me get my PowerPoint up. Great. Start here. Can you see my screen okay? Yes. Okay, great. Wonderful. Hi, welcome everyone. Hi, folks. My name is Amanda Crowley. I am the owner of ACMC. We're a marketing consultancy for the credentialing organizations. I want to start by sharing something that I have heard a lot of overwhelmingly in the past year, and that's many companies that go into a new product launch without a plan. And when I say product, I mean a new credential, a micro credential, or even changes to a renewal process, similar to what the VOC will be talking about today. And I like to call this the Field of Dreams marketing plan. And if you are not familiar with this blockbuster movie, Kevin Costner is walking in a cornfield, right? He hears that voice that says, if you build it, he will come. So he knocks down some of that cornfield, builds a baseball diamond, and people show up, right? Unironically, they just come. Here to tell you that you need a plan. You are not Kevin Costner. You need a marketing plan. Okay, so there are a few things that I offer as a marketing consultant. These services are built to attract more candidates and increase product adoption. The first one that we're looking at is candidate journey mapping. This is something I'm really big on right now. And this looks at the entire experience a candidate goes through pre, during, and post testing. I would host the workshop where we map out the friction points. And friction points are places in the process where candidates are either feeling frustration or dropping off. And this is done through looking at data, both quantitative and qualitative data, to say these are the friction points. And this is really important to identify because it does influence candidate performance. It can introduce construct irrelevance variance, damage brand reputation, and then does reduce long-term credential value. I did recently write 2 articles on this for the ICE. They're linked below. The why is part 1 and the how is part 2. Secondly, we have go-to-market strategies. If you're launching a brand new designation or credential, or even
What? Casey. Okay.
Hey, Sharon,
Okay.
can we mute? Sorry, thank you. if you're repositioning a legacy product or launching a new product, we build a plan building up to that launch date to help increase adoption. These plans can be as simple or as complex as Uh-oh, did you mute me? Someone muted me. Okay. I have written sort of go-to-market strategies for association managements that are essentially volunteer-based. So these plans can be as simple as complex as you need. But the point being is that volunteers that are non-marketers can go through this essentially like a checklist every month to help release your product. Or if you have a marketing team internally, that's sort of where the consulting piece comes in, where I can step in to help guide your team. A lot of times there are full marketing teams, but they're spread so thin across different initiatives across the organization that they might not understand credentialing, the language, how to talk to candidates. And I have that experience in both credentialing and marketing combined to help your teams with that. So I do want to leave you today with my mission statement as a company, and that is to build a credential that has high market authority. And what I mean by that is candidates want to look to you for their career directory. They want to become loyal to you. They want to tell their colleagues and friends. And the second part of that is that employers are looking at you as the gold standard. So I thank you so much for having me today, CNG. If you will be at the Chicago August event, I hope to see you there in person. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Amanda. That was really insightful, and thank you for your sponsorship. Last but not least, I'd like to welcome Steve Winnicki, who is here from Brightlink.
Thanks, Lori. I appreciate it. Let me just get set up here. Can everybody see my screen? Great. As Lori said, my name is Steve Winnicki. I'm head of sales at Brightlink, and want to just tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and we're launching something really interesting and cool this summer, and I want to tell you just a little bit about that at the end and what that might look like. So we've been around for 19 years. We are exclusively in the credentialing business. All of our clients are credentialing customers. We manage over 1 million credentials on our platforms today. So we were built for this space specifically. So just kind of where we came from, one of the dental licensing boards had 3 separate systems back in 2007. And we figured there was a better way. So we used technology to put that into a single system. So, as I mentioned, we do exclusive credentialing. We're configurable by design, which essentially means we have a low-code platform. We're not custom building a solution for every client. We're configuring the system based on our customers' needs. And then lastly, all of our implementations are done exclusively by our team. We don't farm that out to another organization, and we definitely don't give you a manual and say, "Here, go have fun with the platform and see if you can figure it out." We hold your hand every step of the way. So, as I said, we've been around for 19 years. Here are some of the highlights of our experience in the industry. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but we've been around for a while, and we're excited about some of the things that we have going on in 2026. So this is just a couple quotes from some of our clients, and was a part of our customer satisfaction survey last year. So, again, don't take our word for it. I always tell that to everybody. If a vendor tells you something, you should probably talk to somebody who actually uses their solution rather than taking their word for it. So the problem that Brightlink solves is many of our customers and many of the people that we talk to in the industry, may have a different application system, exam scheduling system, badging tool, membership system, and all those systems, different data points, different connection points. And our flagship product, which is called Claris, which is our credential management system, connects all those pieces together for organizations, whether that's the exam scheduling through one of the test delivery vendors or tracking continuing education, all in a single platform. So there's everything talking together in a neat, fun package. So I talked about being purpose-built for credentialing programs. Here are some of the challenges that our clients solve. Application and eligibility tracking, continuing education, candidate portal. Our platform's mobile friendly. So some of our clients use all this stuff. Some use only certain pieces and parts of it. But it's a platform that's very expansive and can support a lot of different models and a lot of different types of customers. So, one of the things that we do hear all the time from customers is, oh, I've got a new credential. It has new rules, new eligibilities, new pricing, and, how do I manage that? So, what I would tell anybody, whether you're using our platform or somebody else's, make sure it's configurable, make sure it's easy to make changes to your exam structures, your exam pricing as your program evolves over time. So AI, one of the things that everybody's talking about, pretty much every meeting I'm in, and we're in that space as well. But a couple of solutions that we've brought to market over the last 12 months, Rosie, which is our AI teammate. So if you think about Rosie as another employee doing specific tasks for you, so we've got a couple different use cases that we've used so far. One is candidate support. Which I'll talk just for a few seconds on, which is if you imagine getting the same question a million times from candidates. What is this policy? How does this work? Our AI teammate, Rosie, takes all your policy documents, all your policies and procedures, and essentially gives you a draft answer to that question. And you can work in a co-pilot mode where, then you review that and send it out, or an autopilot where the system sends it out on your behalf. The second is Scout, which is an AI analytics tool. Think of ChatGPT for your credentialing data. So, you want to get guidance on what are my pass rates for the last 6 months. So you ask the system, it pulls up the data from our system. So one of the things that we heard at the ATP conference this spring, and a lot of conversations, people are like, "Oh, AI teammate, this is really great. This is exciting. Oh, but I don't use your system today. Oh, I guess I can't use it." So that's all changing this summer as we're going to be launching what we call the Rosie platform, which will allow organizations that may have a homegrown credentialing system. Maybe they use one of our competitors. Maybe they don't use anything and they're using spreadsheets, to be able to take advantage of some of the capabilities that we're bringing to market. So just a couple options that I put on the screen: candidate support, testing accommodations review, a lot more to come. So this is going to be fully launching this summer. We're really excited about it. To our knowledge, it's the first agentic AI platform built specifically for the credentialing industry, and we're going to be open the doors to everybody. So with that being said, any questions about anything I talked about, whether it's Brightlink, Claris, Rosie, or a new platform, feel free to reach out to me. We always love to talk to people about their programs and what they're doing and the things they're trying to solve and the challenges they might have. So I really appreciate CNG giving us this opportunity, and enjoy the rest of the event.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve, for your sponsorship. I understand Liz from ICE is with us today. Liz, would you like to share a few words?
Hi, I'm Liz Dombrowski. I'm actually not with ICE anymore, so
Oh,
I can say a few things I left a few weeks ago. But is there anybody else from the team who's here?
I don't believe so.
All right, then I'm going to put on my former hat for a moment. First and foremost, they have an open position for a director of accreditation, and I see some wonderful volunteers from the NCCA and the ACAC and the ASC here. They are truly wonderful, and if you reach out to me directly, I'll tell you how wonderful they are. So that position is opened. Conference registration should open up for a few weeks in Providence. Let's see what else. The specialist certification program for the online assessment-based certificate should open up July 1. ICE CCP registration will close in about a month. So if there are questions, I'll point you to someone smarter than me.
All right. Well, thank you, Liz, for hopping in there and still wearing that ICE hat, even though you're not there anymore. All right. I think we're going to move into a few housekeeping reminders. First, I'd like to thank you all again for attending. We do have our Chicago event upcoming on August 12th. Please feel free to connect with us via email or LinkedIn to sort of stay abreast of the latest and greatest there. Okay, I think we may have skipped. Okay. Some housekeeping items. We ask that you all remain muted while the panelists are presenting. Feel free to use our chat feature and submit your questions. If you don't receive an immediate response, we will have a dedicated Q&A portion of the session at the end, and we'll be happy to answer all of your questions at that time. I'll turn it over to my co-committee member, Aaron White, who will introduce our panelists for today.
Thanks, Lori. And first, just, hey, Liz, thank you so much for jumping in there for ice, and congratulations and best of luck at the Physical Therapy Association.
Oh, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. So everyone, I'm Aaron White with K-West Partners, and I'm really pleased to have this presentation today. So this topic came up a couple of months ago on one of the CNG virtual program committee meetings, and there's a lot of passion around this subject. And for decades, a large percentage of certification bodies, probably the vast majority, have simply required that earning continuing education credits plus paying the renewal fee is all you needed to recertify a certification. Now, I can speak for myself and say that while I understand this premise that the traditional education model is built upon, I also understand that it's not perfect, since we've all seen people at a conference sit in an educational session, play solitaire on their cell phone, and they still earn continuing education credits. So a certificate may also go to the same conference or online meeting every year, get the same CE and turn it in every cycle and really not continue their educations. Couple this with the demands that our stakeholders, they're evolving, and the specialization of certain professions continues. So many certification bodies are looking at ways not only to customize their programs to meet the needs of the certificate, but also increase the value of that recertification programs in terms of providing true pathways for professional growth. So about a month ago, I brought this topic up with the staff leader for the Board of Certification for Athletic Trainers, and they mentioned a new model they began piloting over a year ago. And together we thought they could provide some insight into what they're doing. And I'm hoping that this is going to lead to not only robust conversation here on this meeting, but also for us as leaders in the certification field, start talking about what should be done to continue to meet the needs of our stakeholders, which includes more and more employers are being very vocal about this, and the general public regarding recertification. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Shannon Fleming, Senior Vice President of Credentialing at the BOC, and Heather Collins, the Director of Professional Development for the BOC, and hand it over to them.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm going to do a little shuffling here so I can share my screen. So bear with me. I got mission control here. All right. Okay, I think I'm sharing the correct one. And I need to get a few things out of my way. Let's see here. How do I get you out of my way? Well, trying to, okay, well, hopefully it doesn't get doesn't affect us going through here. Well, good morning. And for me, it's good morning. But for most of you, it's probably good afternoon, depending on where you're located. As Aaron mentioned, my name is Shannon Fleming. I'm the Senior Vice President of Credentialing with the Board of Certification for Athletic Trainers. And I'm here today with my colleague, Heather Collins, who is our Director of Professional Development. And we really appreciate CNG for their invitation to speak with you today. And we're super excited to share what we've been living and breathing for the past few years, if not longer. So we come from athletic trainers come from a world where, we require 50 CEUs to be done every 2 years. And that's the way it's been for quite some time doing CEUs. And we've often looked at other organizations who have, done some longitudinal learning and assessments, but they were doing it for, they had to get a certain score to move forward. And we did not come from a background of recertification by exam, where they all had come from, doing an exam, maybe every 7 years or 10 years. And that was not a world that we had lived in previously, nor was a world that we wanted to go to either. So we are excited to talk to you about what we have come up with, what we call continuing professional certification. But just a few housekeeping items. We don't have any known conflicts of interest. And we will be engaging you all with a few Slido slides. And so hopefully you can get your phones out and use this QR code on the screen to participate in those. That QR code will pop up again later. So if you don't get it now, that's fine. Right. So today's objectives are for all of you to, we want to explore the key differences between what we call CPC or continuing professional certification renewal to traditional continuing education and high stakes longitudinal assessment and gain a better understanding of how this shift supports a more modern learner focused approach. Second, we'll see how the Pathfinder platform empowers our credential holders to set goals, engage in challenge questions, and build a personalized learning path that connects their continuing education with their professional growth. And finally, we'll learn how continuing education or CEUs are earned, documented, and reported within CPC renewal framework, including, they still have to do CEUs. CEUs still play a role in maintaining or continuing your professional certification. But then Pathfinder generated equivalency documentation for that, as well as continued use of manually logging their CEUs. So we will move on. So again, as I said, historically and currently, because it still is an option, renewal for BOC credential holders is a compliance-based model. So athletic trainers maintain certification through continuing education. We have a emergency cardiac care requirement. We have professional standards that they have to comply with. And of course, we have some annual fees that they have to pay. The model provided some flexibility and professional autonomy, but offered limited insight into learning needs and competence development. So today we're going to talk about what we've come up with as a slightly alternative to that complements continuing education. So I will turn it over to Heather, and she's going to share the impetus of our continuing professional certification journey. Heather?
Thank you, Shannon. So here's a table laying out what Shannon and Aaron have talked about, the compliance model, and the medical boards employed traditionally high stakes recertification assessment that assessed learners at a specific point in time. But within the last few years, most have adopted longitudinal assessment models that provide ongoing feedback and opportunities for intervention. Each model here represents a different answer to the question, how do we know that a professional remains competent, their judgment is intact, they're skilled and knowledgeable? So I want to ask, let's see who we have in the audience today. So we're going to do a Slido. Go ahead and snap that QR code or go to slido.com and enter in this number. And the question is, which model most closely resembles your organization's model? So I want to see who's with us today. So go ahead and mark that in. Are you a compliance model? Do you have periodic high stakes exams? Are you in longitudinal assessment, hybrid other, and it doesn't apply to you? Okay, so most of us here are CE compliance. We have some longitudinal folks with us and some periodic high stakes exam. I hope that this is going to be helpful and informative to everyone, no matter which bucket you fall in. So thanks for doing that. That was fun. Okay, good job. Let's keep going. Um, so longitudinal assessment has gained traction and has been received with a great deal of positivity because it supports engagement, retention, and awareness of learning needs. And longitudinal assessment emerged as I mentioned, as an alternative to high stakes testing, but in the process, it yielded really significant benefits beyond assessment, including ongoing learning, feedback, and self-awareness. However, many other healthcare boards, especially in nursing and allied health, do not have a history of high stakes recertification. Like Shannon mentioned, that's not part of our culture, and it would be a poor cultural fit to move in that direction. So let's continue, if that's okay. How can organizations that lack the tradition of high stakes assessment or for whom the model is not a strong fit realize the benefits of longitudinal assessment? Can we capture the advantages of ongoing assessment, feedback, and learning without the high stakes model? Could recertification become a process that promotes learning, reflection, and growth rather than simply measuring competence, judgment, knowledge, or skills? That was what we set about to answer. And our answer to that question was the development of CPC Renewal, a learning-centered model based on low-stakes assessment that is designed to support continuous professional development through reflection, goal setting, engagement with evidence-based practice, we call it My Challenge Questions, and personalized learning. So this is the process. Low stakes assessment educational foundation. So we have participants answer MCQ questions. They're engaging in spaced learning, and then they receive immediate feedback. And we'll show you what it looks like with rationales and resources. And then over time, they gain an awareness of their strengths and gaps. And we're focusing on targeted learning. CPC is grounded in that process I just described is grounded in adult learning theory and educational research. First, retrieval practice. Research by Rediger and Karpicki shows that answering questions in and of itself is a learning activity. Second, the spacing effect, originally described a while back by Ebbinghaus, but it stands true. It tells us that the learning is retained better when engagement is spread over time rather than concentrated into a single event. So you know this if you do yoga, play the piano, do strength training, right? Regular interaction with the content also helps counteract the forgetting curve. And third, we have immediate feedback. Research by Hattie and Timperley demonstrates that timely feedback helps learners identify gaps and focus on learning where it is needed the most. And finally, this is really based in reflective learning, metacognition, and self-awareness. Zimmerman and others have shown that learners improve when they develop a better understanding of their strengths, limitations, and their personal learning needs when they have that reflection. Repeated assessment and feedback help build that self-awareness over time. Together, these principles help explain why longitudinal assessment can be such a powerful tool, not only for assessing knowledge, but for longitudinal learning. Okay, so the next slide shows a graphic that describes the learning path at the heart of CPC renewal. It includes participation, low stakes assessment for gaining data, reflection, and action. The ultimate goal is to support actions that enhance professional practice and patient care. In this model, assessment is not the endpoint. It serves as a catalyst for learning and development. Okay, so CPC Renewal introduces now a fourth model, a longitudinal learning with low stakes assessment. model. It applies many of the same principles that make high stakes assessment effective, but shifts the focus from demonstrating competence to developing competence. And the goal is to capture the benefits of the ongoing engagement, feedback, and self-awareness without the high stakes model. CPC Renewal is innovating in this new fourth space. Okay. So next slide, please. Continuing education remains a central component of CPC renewal. So we still have that. Conferences, webinars, courses, and other CE activities continue to count toward the renewal requirements. But what changes is how athletic trainers select those activities. Pathfinder provides data for participants to be more deliberate, more relevant, and more personalized. Rather than learning first and hoping it's relevant, athletic trainers can use learning data to guide their professional development choices. Okay, so now it's time for another Slido. So thinking about the data that I've described that can be collected in this new model, I want to know what type of data can be used to improve programs and support learners. So the question is, which learner data source has the greatest untapped potential to your organization or for your organization?
Good. Hey, and Heather, this is Aaron. I know last time we had a few people who missed it, so maybe a few more seconds.
Oh, okay.
All the
Gotcha.
data.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
feedback. Go ahead and snap that QR code we're just thinking about we're gathering a great deal of data in this longitudinal learning model, and we can apply it and use it in tremendous ways. It was our privilege to talk about that at the last CNG meeting. But I want to see what kind of data that is untapped could really help in your specific organization. We'll give a few more minutes or a few more seconds for people. So we have CE completion records. That is, have you completed your CEs? Knowledge gaps, knowing what your participants' knowledge gaps are. That came in very strongly. Professional goals, what they are targeting in their professional employment situations, what their personal professional goals are, where they're aiming for. Strengths and gaps, right? And then plan learning. And the answer down there was trends across time or trends across all of the above. So yeah, this is really interesting. This is really interesting. All right. All right, next, did we have a Slido for this one? Maybe it just skipped forward.
I advanced one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There we go.
So this is the next one.
Thank you so much. Yep. All right. Which question is your organization best positioned to answer with its current data? So, are you positioned to answer any of these questions? And if so, where are you best positioned to answer them? Where my certificates are struggling? What certificates think they are trying to improve? What learning they are pursuing before it is reported? How certificates practice has changed, or none of the above? Oh, wow. Are you guys answering this one?
No.
Wow. Oh, it says voting closed. Hmm. Well, nonetheless, let's reflect on this as a question. Thank you for trying for those of you who are putting it in before it closed. But right, we have a lot of opportunities to learn from our participants, and it's really an interesting thought experiment to think about where we need to go, right? And what we have available to us and what we might be able to collect if we were to approach it through a different model or different approach. So thanks for doing that one. Let's keep going and we'll do some more Slidos in a little bit. So this is the approved CPC renewal framework that operationalizes these concepts. Continuing education remains central. You can see you still have to do your CEUs, but it adds the components that we've just discussed in the longitudinal learning model. And I'm going to hand it back to Shannon now to introduce to you what CPC renewal powered by Pathfinder looks like and what how the platform operates.
Great. Thanks, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So as Heather mentioned, a new term, Pathfinder. So it is the platform that brings CPC renewal to life. It integrates goal setting, challenge questions, learning planning, as well as reflection into a single experience. Rather than viewing renewal as a series of disconnected requirements, Pathfinder creates a structured yet flexible learning journey that supports continuous professional development over time. All right. So rather than describing each feature individually, we have a short video that we provided to our athletic trainers to get them started. So it shows them how they can get started with it. As we mentioned, we just launched this in February. We piloted it in the year 2024 and then made the decision to move forward with CPC, which is powered by this Pathfinder platform. And so we launched it in February, and we wanted to make sure that they knew what they were getting into. And so we created this short video that provides an overview of the Pathfinder experience. And so as you watch, just notice how the platform guides the athletic trainers through that reflection and learning awareness and planning and ongoing engagement while still maintaining the flexibility and that learner autonomy. Okay. Now I'm trying to remember if I clicked share sound on this. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and just make sure that I did that. Yes, I did. So, okay, let's see.
Welcome to Pathfinder. We'll show you how to get started.
Shana, we're seeing just your main screen.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Welcome to Pathfinder.
Stop share. Wrong screen I was sharing.
Yeah, the negative of having multiple screens.
I know. I've got 3 of them going on here. All right. Now I got the right one. Okay. Let's start this again.
We'll show you how to get started, set your initial goals, complete your challenge questions, and track your progress. From your BOC profile dashboard, you'll see a My Goals section. Here, you'll create at least 2 goals during your renewal period. To begin, complete the short SMART questionnaire. Then click on Manage Goals. Pathfinder will walk you through each step and help you write a clear, focused goal that connects to your professional growth. Save your goals, and you can come back to update them anytime. To get started with My Challenge questions, select Start to open your current segment. Each segment includes 15 multiple choice questions. There's no score, no grade. They're just there to help you see your strengths and find areas you may want to learn next. Each question has a 5-minute timer. It can't be paused or saved for later, so be sure you're ready before you begin. Answer the question, mark whether you feel confident about your answer, and then click Check Answer. You'll instantly see whether you got it right, along with a short explanation. If you miss a question, you'll see the correct answer along with both correct and incorrect rationales, so you can understand the reasoning. Below the explanation, you'll also see 2 journal articles related to the question. You can open them now or favorite them to your reading list in the My Learning path. Pathfinder also uses artificial intelligence to suggest 2 possible learning opportunities related to the question. If one looks helpful, you can make it a favorite and add it to My Learning Path. If it isn't a good fit, select the thumbs down icon. This helps improve future recommendations. You'll complete one set of 15 challenge questions during each 3-month segment. Your MCQ dashboard shows your progress at a glance. You'll see how many segments you've finished, what's still open, when the segment's open, and any relevant due dates. Check your MCQ dashboard regularly to stay on track throughout the renewal period. Everyone automatically gets one grace segment, and your MCQ dashboard will show how it applies to your schedule. If you have questions or run into an issue, we are here to support you. Just email us at renewal@boc.
Okay. So that gives you a glimpse at the first 2 sections, which is the My Goals and the My Challenge questions. So what you're looking at here is just a little bit closer look at the goals component. And we use the SMART goals and that reflect on their current practice, what their interests are, maybe what stage they are in their career. It supports self-directed learning and helps ensure that professional development activities are relevant and purposeful, as well as aligned with the athletic trainer's needs. The challenge questions are designed to promote learning rather than evaluate competence. So participants, again, answer those brief sets of questions and immediately receive that feedback with rationales, with references, as well as some learning recommendations using AI. And the purpose is to increase their awareness of their strengths and opportunities for growth through the retrieval of practice and reflection. So questions are required. There's no passing score. And really the focus, again, is on learning and not passing per se. This is also part of the My Challenge Questions section, which is the Learning Awareness Dashboard, which helps athletic trainers visualize patterns in their learning over time. So it combines confidence and correctness. So as you saw in there, they had to answer the question and then whether they were confident in their answer or not confident in their answer. And so it takes that data and it identifies areas of strengths, opportunities for growth, and also some potential blind spots. So the goal is not to judge performance, but to provide meaningful insight that can inform future learning as well as their professional development decisions. So submitted responses are plotted in this awareness zones. So red meaning risk, yellow means growing awareness, blue means active learning, and green is mastery. So learners can click on those squares to view the challenge questions. So as an example, if someone answered a question incorrectly and marked that they were confident in their answer, it would plot this in the red or risk zone, meaning this is a potential blind spot for them. Again, if someone answered a question correct and marked that they were not confident in their answer, it would plot it in the blue or learning zone, meaning this may be an unknown strength, things that they likely know but are not yet confident in their knowledge. So it provides a real-time visual of their strengths and areas for improvement, as well as areas of development. So it's really professional development that's responsive and self-directed. The My Learning Path helps athletic trainers translate those learning insights into meaningful action and serves as a personalized planning tool within Pathfinder. So athletic trainers can save learning activities, organize professional development opportunities, and monitor progress towards the goals that they've developed. And so by connecting the learning awareness with future learning opportunities, the feature helps create a more intentional and individualized professional development experience. So the intent is to help learners move from awareness to action by creating a deliberate and individualized approach to continuing professional development. So this is a brief demonstration highlighting, hold on one second, highlighting how athletic trainers can use that My Learning Path to organize and manage their professional development activities. So another quick video here.
My Learning Path is used to organize and plan learning activities identified throughout the renewal cycle. It brings together favorited items, planned activities, and goals, all in one place. Learning activities recommended during My Challenge questions can be saved for later. Select the star on a recommended activity to add it to My Favorites. You can access My Favorites in two ways. First, anytime you add an activity, it's automatically saved to your favorites, and you'll see it right away in the pop-up. You can also open My Favorites from your Pathfinder dashboard. Select the My Learning Path tile, choose Manage Learning Path, and then select My Favorites. Saved activities stay in My Favorites until they are added to the learning path. To place an activity on the timeline of My Learning Path, select Add to Learning Path. During the renewal cycle, you'll need to add at least 2 learning activities to your My Learning Path timeline. You can also add your own learning activity plans or personal milestones. The Learning Path displays planned activities alongside your goals. Each activity on the Learning Path includes an Actions menu. You can track your progress by marking activities complete or set email reminders for yourself, or add the activity to a personal calendar, such as Outlook or Google Calendar, to help you plan your learning around your existing commitments. To expand your learning plans, activities can be searched and added directly from the activity directory. Think of My Learning Path as a flexible planning tool. You can add, move, or change activities at any time to organize your learning across the renewal cycle. Nothing on the timeline locks you in. Saving an activity doesn't commit you to attend, enroll, or pay. Your CE reporting to the BOC is handled separately and does not need to match your timeline. If you have questions or run into an issue, we are here to support you.
Okay. So I would also add that something that's not shown on this video that we have added since then is that they can actually add a CE learning activity to their CE reporting form. So in that activities, they can now add to CE form and do that seamlessly. So that was a good add that our software team was able to use. So, and then finally, towards the end of the cycle, there is a reflection piece that is the final component of the Pathfinder experience. And so we ask participants to consider what they've learned, how their understanding evolved, and how they applied that learning in their practice. So it helps them reinforce learning, it helps them support self-awareness, and it encourages that intentional professional growth. And it also provides an opportunity to connect professional development activities back to practice and back to patient care. So before launching CPC, as I had mentioned, we conducted a large-scale pilot of Pathfinder with practicing athletic trainers. The pilot provided us with valuable insight into participant experiences, their perceptions of value, the usability, and the potential impact on professional development and patient care. So I'm going to hand it back to Heather, and she'll walk you through what we found.
Thanks, Shannon. So, we were very pleased with the results. Over 83% of participating ATs agreed that the SMART questionnaire, the My Goals section, helped them to set meaningful objectives and reflect on their progress. And over 93% said that the My Challenge questions completed on an ongoing basis every 3 months helped improve their knowledge and the reflection of their strengths and blind spots and areas of growth, enhancing both self-awareness and practice knowledge. And 82% found that recommended learning activities identified through the personalized results of the My Challenge questions, they found them to be helpful in their development. So these responses show that Pathfinder isn't just functioning, it's really effective and it helps ATs plan and learn more intentionally. So we were pleased with that. Additionally, we wanted to know and measure the practitioner's self-perceived impact of Pathfinder on patient care. We didn't simply go about it by asking participants whether Pathfinder impacted patient care. We asked specifically how it may have done so. So 91% reported that Pathfinder confirmed their clinical decision making, encouraged a reflection on evidence-based practice, and or enhanced the care that they provided to patients. So it helped them to stop and think, align themselves with the evidence that they were seeing, and apply that evidence. Maybe stop and pause in an interaction with a patient and research further to align with some new evidence that they'd been exposed to, et cetera, et cetera. So this figure also showed that a 7.5 percentage point increase from Q2 that was continuous, and it demonstrated the growing impact of this reflective quality over time, consistent with longitudinal learning outcomes. So we also looked at technology and usability, and the tool demonstrated that it was mobile friendly, highly usable, and easily integrated into AT's daily work, no matter their practice setting, schedule, or experience level. 92% said that the platform was easy to use, and 95% said that it was technically functioning and gave it a positive rating. So, of course, there were areas for improvement noted during the pilot, and we have been working on implementing those enhancements prior to the launch and are continuing to do so and continuing to monitor Pathfinder's platform. So ultimately, CPC Renewal was designed to create value for athletic trainers. The model supports greater flexibility and personalization while helping participants to focus on their learning and what's relevant to their practice. CPC Renewal aims to make professional development more meaningful and more directly connected to patient care. And that's what we set out to do. I'm going to hand it back to Shannon for our next section.
Okay. So following the pilot, the BOC moved forward with implementation of CPC Renewal, like I said, in February of 2026. And so we have early implementation data, which has been really encouraging. So keep in mind that there are approximately 57,000 athletic trainers. And this CPC Renewal was optional. So they were all enrolled in CPC Renewal starting in February, and we allowed people to opt out. Now, we did make them jump through a few hoops. They had to watch the video, the first video that you saw, and they had to complete at least one challenge question. And then they were able to opt out if they so chose to do so. But after segment 1, we had almost 20,000 athletic trainers complete that first segment. So we really found that encouraging, since, again, they could have opted out right away. So many ATs have reported that it was quick and easy to learn, that they had a positive experience, and then it really took less than 30 minutes to complete the first segment. and that there were no significant barriers that anyone had reported. And we've been surveying folks. We did at the end of segment 1, both those that opted in and opted out. So let's take another look at the CPC renewal requirements. So as we discussed the why and the how, this slide again summarizes the final requirements that kind of pulls the model together. And so Pathfinder completion requires that the athletic trainers create 2 goals. They add at least 2 learning activities to the learning path, and they complete challenge questions each segment. And so there are a total of 8 segments because we have a 2-year renewal cycle, and answering a few reflections then at the end of that. In addition to that Pathfinder completion, athletic trainers must earn 40 CEUs, whereas if they opted out into just doing CEUs, they have to do 50 CEUs. So we see that CPC renewal as supporting lifelong learning, professional growth, and quality patient care. And the effectiveness of the model is influenced not only by its design, but also by the learner's willingness to engage in the process, as with anything, right? The more intentional the engagement, the greater the potential impact on professional development and patient care. So at its core, CPC renewal is an investment in lifelong learning, one designed to support athletic trainers in delivering the highest quality throughout their careers. Okay, I guess this is our final Slido. So where do you believe your organization needs to be in 5 years? And we've provided some options there, similar to the ones that you saw in the very first Slido. I love this. This is great. So it does look like most of you have indicated that longitudinal learning or that low, no stakes environment is where your organization needs to be. And that's where what we had been talking about for many years, and decided we just needed to take the plunge. So, and we anticipate that the platform and the process is going to evolve over time. And we've got plans to look at what we're calling CPC 2.0 here coming soon. So, oh well, apparently Melanie gets a prize. Or no, AS. I don't know who AS is, but so, well, thanks for playing along with our Slido challenges. And so this really concludes our presentation. So, and here's our contact information. Heather and I are happy to engage in more dialogue or answer any questions that you might have. And the QR code takes you to an FAQ document that we have on our website if you want to learn more about the questions that we've been receiving from our credential holders. But now we are happy to take any questions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen if that's okay.
Yeah. Well, this is Aaron. Thanks, Shannon and Heather. Absolutely wonderful. Love the data here. And I want to get into, see if we have some discussions here, but I'm going to throw it out there. This group on that last poll, 33% say stay with your traditional CE credit model. Does anybody in that group want to speak up and talk about their reasonings behind that?
I see we do have some questions.
We do have
as well.
questions in the chat, so we
We
can.
do. I'm happy to read them off.
Be great.
Looks like the first one says, how are these suggested activities? Whoa, they're going kind of fast. So
Yeah, we're getting good.
Let me see if I can go up. Yep, I can. How are these suggested activities screened and or preloaded?
Do you want me to take that?
Sure.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. either one, chime in. But
Okay.
so we have an approved provider program where we have a group of organizations that provide the continuing education, and they are required to enter their continuing education activities into a directory. And so it is pulling directly from that directory of continuing education programs.
Okay. The next question here says, what is the educational purpose of adding a CE activity to the learning path? Why can't they just do the activity?
I can grab that. So the purpose of the learning path is to help make the learning activities, the CEs that they consume more intentional. So we, instead of taking CEs that are convenient or trying to catch up on them at the very end of the renewal period, we wanted to help them to use the learning awareness dashboard, use the MCQ data, align and find the needle in the haystack, that activity that really is going to address something that they need or want, and help them to plan for it and put it on their calendars to do it, and to have a one-stop shop place where all of that thinking takes place, that reflection and planning and intentionality. And so that's what we wanted to provide for them, was a structure to do that. That's the purpose of it.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
would also add that, not all of the programs were available right then and there. And so this is a way to kind of keep track of them and add them to your calendar if they are a program that's in the future or not on demand.
Mhm. That's a good question.
All right. The next question here from Jennifer says, how does Pathfinder interact with your element LMS? Um, or is it in lieu of an LMS? And what platform did you use to develop the onboarding videos? They look great.
So as far as we have a certification management database that is in-house. And so it does now talk to that so that they can add the activities that they've put on their learning path. They can add those to their CE form that we require them to complete every 2 years. And I do not know about the onboarding videos who did those exactly, but we can get back to you.
All right. The next question here from Grady says, what are the consequences of non-participation? Example, don't do two goals or don't complete an exam segment. So
Yeah.
essentially, are there any consequences? Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of reminders going out. We have automated reminders that help to keep them on track, keep them on schedule, and we're not going to let them just slide by if we know that they need to do something. We've got a system in place to help them, a guide on the side with those reminders. But yeah, we're communicating that it's important for them to complete all of the requirements to complete their renewal, their certification renewal. If they don't, we have remediation plans in place and a remediation pathway for those that fall behind. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
just to add on to that. So, for those that were certified prior to 2026, they are automatically then rolling into the legacy path if they missed part of the requirements of Pathfinder. Those that are certified this year do not have the option to opt out. They don't know any other, so we thought we would just start them off in this world. And so we do have a remediation plan for those because they will not be able to just roll into the legacy program. And so we have a way where they basically have to make up what they've missed in Pathfinder. It's not ideal because, longitudinal assessment, you want to do this over time. But we're hoping that it's a wake-up call for them to do things on time the next go around. So.
The next question here says, do the requirements differ if a certificate has lapsed certification?
So I would say that if their certification has lapsed, we have a recertification process that, or a reinstatement process that they have to go through. And it really, because the previous reporting periods have been through the traditional or legacy continuing education, that's what they would have to show us they have done to be reinstated. We have not had to have someone be reinstated from CPC renewal, but because legacy renewal is an option still, we would have them just make up the CEUs in order to be reinstated.
That makes sense. Any other questions, team? We do welcome the engagement, so feel free to submit any questions that you may have. In the meantime, Aaron, I'll hand it back to you because I know you had some questions as well.
Yeah, I think I had to ask the question about individuals who may
Oh,
have
you did?
answered Stacy, but somebody commented that it looks like only 3 people may have voted on that, so that shows the. So we'll open up to any other comments. We've got a few minutes left. All right. Well, hearing none and seeing none in the chat, I just want to thank Shannon and Heather for a wonderful presentation, and thank you to our sponsors. Without you, we could not continue to do these free educational seminars. I want to remind everybody, as we had on the slide earlier, about the August Chicago meeting. Hopefully people can attend that. And with that, just thank everybody for your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.